All right, everybody, welcome. I'm Paul McManus with McManus Kitchen and Bath, if you don't know me. On the line, we've got Brianna Browning, who's our interior designer, and Bryan Briskly, who's from Advantage Design and Remodel up in New Berlin, Wisconsin. Brian's our guest today. We're going to be talking about kitchen design trends and how to create a sort of timeless design for your kitchen. Brianna, you want to say hey?
Hi everyone, I'm Brianna. I'm the designer here at McManus Kitchen and Bath. I'm a graduate of FSU and a certified interior designer.
Brian, you want to say howdy?
Hi, yeah. Well, first off, thanks Paul and Brianna for having me on today. So I'm interior designer here at Advantage Remodel. So super excited to talk about some trends today and things for your kitchens and bathrooms that are gonna keep things timeless.
Awesome. Yeah. Before we start, guys, some quick housekeeping issues. We're going to be taking questions throughout. So anytime you have a question, go ahead and type it in the chat window. Brianna is going to be monitoring the chat, and she will speak up for you. If you want to ask your question in person, just type that in the chat that you'd like to ask a question in person, and we'll unmute you, and we can have a conversation that way. But we're going to manage that from this end, so just let us know. But this is supposed to be interactive, supposed to be taking lots of questions. I want to hear people's opinions. We should have a good number of designers on this call, as well as homeowners interested in remodeling, so hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. When you do get a chance to speak, when you're finished speaking, if you'll please just make sure to mute yourself. And if you're going to speak, just make sure, you know, the TV's not on in the background, or the kids aren't playing, or dog barking, or something like that.
I'm just going to add, because someone said in the chat to use the chat instead of the Q&A. Yes, we want to use the chat, not the Q&A, to ask questions.
Yeah, thanks. Let's just keep it simple. Use the chat. It's just a little bit easier. We don't have to manage a bunch of different screens. Real quick, for those not familiar with us, McManus Kitchen and Bath, we're very similar to Brian, to Advantage Design and Remodel. We're a design, build, remodeling company. That means we do all your design in-house. We manage your project from start to finish. And we're located here in Tallahassee, Florida, for those of you on the call that are from out of town. Brian did a quick intro, but Brian, you want to talk a little bit more about Advantage Design and what you guys do?
Yeah, so here at Advantage Design, you know, obviously our bread and butter is really, you know, kitchens, bathrooms, lower levels, but we do anything from additions to whole home remodeling. Everything from design work is handled in-house. So you work with me, the designer, through everything. And then we kind of partner with a few other showrooms to kind of take you around, do some fun shopping for your other fixtures that we don't handle here in-house. Okay. So yeah, it's a quick little rundown of what we do.
So you guys will actually go to other showrooms with your clients to.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I believe that we can house everything from cabinets, countertops, hardware, but you know, when it really starts getting into things like tile, lighting fixtures, plumbing, they're changing all the time. So we really want to get our clients out there to see, you know, what's new, what's fresh.
I got you.
In the showrooms.
Okay. We actually carry tile here in the showroom.
Okay.
Keep it updated. But I like the idea of going to other showroom. Fixtures is really tough. Lighting is really tough.
Yeah.
Plumbing fixtures is really tough. I like that idea of going out in the field with your clients.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Today we want to talk about timeless design. Quick outline of how we're going to approach this. First, anytime you're creating what you want to consider a timeless design, I think we're all on the same page when we say you've got to start with good bones. You got to start with a good functional layout. Your designers plays a critical role in this. You know, as a homeowner, you can certainly create your own layout. You can probably do a pretty good job because of a lot of it seems like common sense, but it's easy to make some mistakes. So the designer, I feel like, plays a critical role in that. Part two, choose a neutral style. So think of choosing a neutral backdrop and then accenting that backdrop with some, you know, creative accents. And we're going to talk about this in a minute. Some styles just naturally lend themselves to being adaptable to change. Other styles do not. We're gonna go over that. A classic example, though, is it's pretty easy to take a mid-century modern style add some rustic accents and kind of turn that into an industrial style. So things like that we're going to be going over. And then another thing to think about is consistency, or what I like to call avoid the mullet design. For those of you from the South, you're familiar with the mullet. It's the short haircut up front and the long hair in the back. They call it party up front. Oh no, so they call it business up front, party in the back. What that really means is, you know, you want your house to be consistent throughout. So you don't want your kitchen to be, you know, Art Deco and the rest of the house is traditional, right? That's not a good way to create timeless design. So we try to avoid mullet designs as much as possible. Would you agree, Brian? Anything
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's not just down by you guys. There's plenty of mullets up in Wisconsin too.
You got a lot of mullets up there. Okay, cool. I'm glad that's not just a Southern thing. It was the mullet haircut was all the rage when I was growing up. So, although I gotta say I never had one. So let's talk about styles that lend themselves to change. And a lot of these are popular styles today. They're called transitional styles. They're sort of transitional is sort of, it's in transit between a traditional and a modern or a contemporary style. That's kind of what transitional means. It's kind of a uniquely American thing. You don't really see it overseas. It's really sort of an American style that's growing and becoming popular. Dominated these days, I would say, Brian, would you agree, by the farmhouse?
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of farmhouse, a lot of transitional. Yeah.
But you know, you can take a farmhouse style and you can turn it into an industrial style or rustic country style or French country very easily. That's one of the nice things about transitional designs.
Yeah.
Mid-century moderns, another great one that you can become industrial, Scandinavian. It can skew very modern as well. So that's another nice base style. And then we want to point out contemporary. A lot of people we meet say, oh yeah, I just want a contemporary kitchen. Well, contemporary really isn't a style. We like to avoid using that word. Contemporary style really is just what's ever popular today. So when you say you want your kitchen contemporary, you're really just saying, I want my kitchen to be stylish for today. So anything, Brianna, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with everything. I think that farmhouse,
Better.
it easily can become like different styles. You can do very traditional farmhouse, you know, more transitional, and then like very country. Same with mid-century.
Awesome. So those are some styles that definitely lend themselves to being adaptable. So there's some good base styles to start with. There are, of course, some styles that don't lend themselves to change. Your sort of classic traditional kitchen is an example. There's a bohemian style, or some people would call it an eclectic style. That's very unique. You're not very hard to adapt. And then your Art Deco and glam styles are, you know, again, sort of very unique. One thing we will say, though, I think we all agree on this, that while you do want your house to have this consistency and we want to avoid that mullet design, you can have a lot of fun in some rooms of your home. And basements is a great, if you live up north where Brian is, basements are a great place to have some fun. Mm-hmm. Powder rooms, we all agree, it's a fantastic place to have some fun and do a unique design. And even Brianna mentioned closets. It's a good place just to, you know, be a little more expressive and have some fun with design without locking yourself into like a whole house style that's going to be outdated in a couple years.
Yeah, I think powder rooms is like a fun place to do that too, just because like that's where your guests are going to be going. So it's sort of like a surprise when they go into the bathroom.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also, for basements for us, you know, a lot of the times my clients are like, you know, can I paint all the woodwork white down there in the doors if I have traditional oak upstairs? And I say, go for it, because it kind of is, you're walking down into a whole new space down there. So I think it's an area to kind of play with some fun, different styles, paint colors, cool wall coverings, things like that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I love having fun in powder rooms. It's a great place to mess around. And then one final note, and we're going to get into looking at some pictures and talking about different styles more specifically, is everything we're talking about today, I think it makes sense. It's good advice, but just remember your personal style, your personal taste trumps everything, right? And I think we're all totally on board with that. As a homeowner, you're driving what you want the look to be. So if you have a real particular style and that's what you love, That's what you want to do. Don't feel like you have to sacrifice that style because it's not trendy or it might be out of style in a couple of years. It's your home. You need to love it. We still want to be function first, but style's personal. We want to make sure that your home reflects your style. All right, so starting out, Brian, what would you call this?
Very, very, very traditional kitchen.
Some strong traditional elements here. This medallion is a classic. That's a classic mid 80s, early 90s element.
If your kitchen looks like this, it might be time for an update.
Yeah, I agree.
unless you love it, and then to each his own. But
yeah, for sure.
The distressed wood, the raised panel doors, very traditional. This sort of natural stone backsplash, the ornaments, these sort of corbels, those are all very traditional elements. Not super popular today. Doesn't really lend itself to much adapting. I could put a subway backsplash tile in there, but that's not going to make that a farmhouse kitchen, right? It's not going to change the other elements in that room. You're kind of locked in with the cabinetry and some of this decorative trim. Some of that's going to be hard to get away from. So to change the style of a kitchen like this, you're really kind of looking at a gut renovation or a pull and replace update. Here's a good example of a style I think you can adapt. Brian, what are your thoughts on this one?
I personally really like this kitchen, besides kind of like the picture framing behind the range can kind of date it a little bit, but it kind of really gives you a little bit of farmhouse, a little bit of industrial, a little bit of rustic country, with the barn door going into the pantry area. Kind of have 3 different designs going on, but they all work really well together.
Yeah, I'd agree. The medallion, the little, that little picture framing, that's kind of the only thing about this whole design that really bugs me.
Yeah, I think it's really transitional too, in the way that if you down the road got tired of the sort of more industrial farmhouse look, you can lose the lights, change the bar stool, maybe even get rid of the barn door, and then it's going to give it like a totally different look.
Yeah, I agree. I think this kitchen you could turn into a traditional, like a contemporary traditional pretty easily. You could turn it into a farmhouse pretty easily with some relatively minor updates. Change the backsplash tile, the lighting, like Brandon said. That hood would probably need to change. That's a pretty industrial hood.
Yeah, and there's so many barn door styles now that look very modern, contemporary too, so that'd be an easy way to change things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so an example of and this one is unique in my mind. I usually don't like doing these raised panel doors on a transitional design, but in here it works. I think in this kitchen it kind of came out well. All right, couple kitchens to look at here, similar. Brianna, what do you think of these?
I thought this was a nice example of transitional, but the homeowner still incorporated some, like elements that made it personal. Like you've got a nice, like classic white cabinetry, more shaker style. So it still like stands the test of time, in my opinion. But like with the backsplash and like the wood paneling in the back of the wine area, it made it more personal and a little more stylized and trendy.
Yeah, I agree with that. And this can easily be another one that is adapted to, if you just want to keep it very classic, transitional, or try to modernize it a little bit, switching out that barn door again, maybe not doing the wood paneling behind the bar area, maybe a more high gloss tile or something. Anything goes really well with the white shaker cabinet. So
yeah,
you can easily change it.
Yeah, even they did a contrasting island color in this sort of looks like a washed gray with like some kind of glaze. Also, but still neutral. You could change out those corbels, which are a little traditional. It looks like this. I love this little wood bar.
Yeah,
I love that too.
Yeah, I think that's a nice element.
Yeah, it brings a little organic warmth to it, but that would be very easy to swap out. These bar stools are obviously kind of fun, little formal, little skew a little the feminine side, but easy to change. Yeah, I think those are nice. These are kind of farmhousey.
Yeah.
That would be easy to change. Yeah. Okay, now here's another one, probably very difficult to change. Brian, what are your thoughts on this one?
Personally, not my favorite style, but it is, heavy, modern, very, you know, contemporary, gorgeous. It is a gorgeous kitchen, but functionally for me, it wouldn't work, but it was really giving you everything you need. You know, no hardware, more of like the rail style for the doors and the drawers. You know, you have kind of the drop down going into the peninsula, waterfall edge. Yeah, very minimalistic for this.
Yeah, very, very, very much a classic modern. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. Look, again, hard to change. You could throw subway tile on the back there, but that doesn't make it farmhouse. It's not gonna, you know, this is definitely a modern kitchen. I will say I love this element of the open shelf built into the cabinetry. That's an element you could use in lots of different styles that I think would work. Modern happens to be my personal favorite style, so I would love this kitchen. This has a rail system, which is very cool. It creates these strong horizontal lines, you know, these strong vertical lines. That's very modern, you know, strong lines, clean. But yeah, very hard to change. Definitely not a timeless kitchen. Brianna, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, this is it's very stylized, hard to change in that, like, it really depends on the house that you live in my opinion. I don't want to see like your brick colonial outside and then walk into this kitchen. I think it's just like a hard style to sort of make work in some spaces, but when your whole house has like a nice, like low lying horizontal lines, like modern feel, that it looks really good and can be a nice choice. Gotcha. And a lot of people love this style. You know, it's cleaner and it's like simpler, not a lot going on. So it still works even though it's not maybe as transitional as others.
We got a question from Nick just popped up. What is the rail system? So the rail, you can see it's these black rails. They're these recessed rails. What that's allowing is to open that drawer right there. There's a recess right where that rail is. You just reach in and allows you to open that drawer. It also just creates a cool contrast in this shadow line that looks really nice in the modern design. But it's a way of doing these, be able to open your cabinets without pulls.
Yeah, and you don't have the difficult decision of picking out pulls.
Right, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Which is very difficult in some cases.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's a good question. The rail, this is very European. That rail system is very contemporary, very European, very modern, very European. Not really a style that's made it across the States yet, but it's probably coming.
Yeah.
You know, if you're thinking 5, 8 years down the road, this is probably going to become a thing. Not up in North, I wouldn't be, yeah, she says not up in Northeast Ohio yet. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it hasn't quite reached there yet, but I think it's coming. I think you'll start seeing more and more of it. All right, Brian, what do you think of this one?
I mean, I personally love everything about this because I kind of tend to go a little bit more, you know, glam and ultra high end, you know, with the waterfall and the marble and, you know, cladding walls with marble and around the hood. I really love the brushed gold accents, kind of really plays into that whole kind of luxe vibe for this kitchen. But this one would be obviously extremely difficult to kind of adapt into a different style, especially when you have all this mitered stone going on everywhere. It almost looks to appear to be like not even many cabinets in that island. It's just a lot of like stone mitered together to create it. Yeah,
and I know Brianna likes this one.
Yeah, I do like it, but I think it's definitely, they went with looks over function, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, definitely looks like it lacks storage. I mean, there could be a walk-in pantry off the side that we're not aware of.
Yeah. But I do like the idea that they like sort of incorporated elements that you wouldn't normally see in a kitchen, just with like the sconces on each side of the stove. Like you wouldn't normally do something like that. So I think
that's a cool feature. Yeah, it's a beautiful kitchen. Not very many cabinets, but probably a very expensive kitchen because of all that stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
I personally really like the symmetry about it too. You know, left and right of the range is the same, left and right of the island is the same. Just visually from a standpoint is what catches my eye too.
Yeah, that's true. That symmetry is real nice. Yeah. All right. Okay, not one of my personal favorites, but there are some cool things going on here. One thing I do like are these big horizontal cabinets. These are lift up, these are called bifold lift up doors, which I think are fantastic. If you look behind me, we actually have one in the showroom. You probably see it. There it goes, opening. Probably just see the bottom of it closing. They're fantastic because they open up out of the way and give you full access to a cabinet without that door being in the way. But stylistically, this one is difficult for me because you got sort of classic marble mixed with a modern high gloss cabinet. I'm not crazy about it. What do you think, Brianna?
Yeah, it's not my like personal favorite style. You know, I think they like mixed in elements of modern with like more transitional, just with like the bar stools and the lighting, but maybe too much of a mix.
Yeah.
It's not really meshing together in the right way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, just for me, I'm seeing, you know, what appears to be a textured laminate island, and then, you know, we got the high gloss gray kind of along the back, and then over by the sink we have, I don't know if it's high gloss or matte white, you know, it's kind of like three different things going on all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a lot going on, and it's a lot of the same color going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The floor is the only thing that really stands out. Everything else sort of blends a little together, a little too much.
I think it's a good example of maybe like not neutral, going all neutral is maybe not always the best if you're not using the right materials.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Although I gotta say, I love these tractor seat chairs, these stools. That's one of my favorite stools.
Yeah, those are cool.
All right, this is a good one. This one definitely is my style. This is a real mid-century modern type of feel. I love wood. I love darker woods. Not the most on trend right now, but could lend itself to being updated with a few changes to backsplash and colors. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I personally really like this style. I think it actually is making I'm starting to see it more and more of a, you know, bigger comeback as the mid-century, because you are getting these warm natural tones, which can really play well with, you know, in your house, if you have white trim or dark trim, and things that you're worried about, you know, you can still, it is modern, but to me, I think you could still put it in a very, you know, transitional home, and kind of play it up that way if you wanted to have a little bit more of a modern space, but yeah, still keeping with those warm tones.
Yeah, I think you could change out that backsplash tile for something a little brighter.
Yeah.
You know, a different counter, and that's a totally different space.
Yeah, and I think there's some woods that sort of just like never go out of style, like warm walnut, like
Correct.
it's always pretty all the time.
Yeah.
You know, maybe not like your red cherry door.
Right.
That's gonna fade, but walnut.
Walnut, yeah, walnut seems to always be in style.
Yeah.
I agree there. Yeah. There you go. Bright white. What do we think of this one?
Very Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd call it Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Very clean, crisp,
Yeah.
but still some wood tones, but they're brighter wood tones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this kitchen because it feels bright, clean.
Yeah.
It's small, obviously, not a ton of storage space. But I love, well, they do have this giant tall cabinet though. Love the open shelf. I'm a big fan of open shelving.
Yeah, me too. And anywhere I can bring in any like natural elements, I try to. So with this, I do love that, you know, the flooring kind of ties into the shelves and everything kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big fan of kind of horizontal surfaces staying in the same tone or material, and kind of helps tie things together. Yeah. Okay, a couple styles that are very personal, obviously. I'd call these eclectic. What would you say, Brian?
Yeah, very eclectic, very, you know, very artistic style home, you know, where you want to display a lot of your items. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, kind of boho.
Boho, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, very personal.
Yeah,
Very personal.
you definitely can look at these and feel like you know a little bit about the owner of this,
Yeah.
this home. Yeah, yeah, they're very cool. But again, if you're thinking timeless, this kitchen is probably not going to. Well, this one on the left, actually, I don't know. Aside from that blue range, it probably cost someone $12,000. A lot of these elements could probably be updated, and you could get a additional kitchen out of that. This one on the right, though, I think, you know, you either love it or you hate it. This one, I think, another great example of personal, a mix of a lot of different styles, but I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, it kind of to me tells a story almost. You know, you kind of like just looking at it, I already automatically think, you know, like Connecticut style home. Maybe those were original tile floors that, you know, you didn't want to get rid of because it just kind of keeps the history of a home. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah, tied in some nice elements, kind of formal hood, you know, these big decorative corbels, but a vintage floor, like you said. But they did a little bit of it's a new range, but it's a vintage look, new range. They did the brackets underneath the wall cabinets to keep that sort of older vintage feel.
They made it look a little bit more furniture style, I think, with like those corbels and then the wood, like microwave area.
Yeah. One thing that they did do here, this is so common, but it's a pet peeve of mine. These are inset cabinets. So the door is inset into the cabinet frame.
Which is my personal favorite.
So. A lot of people love it.
Mine too, Brian.
I absolutely love inset cabinets. If I can put them anywhere, I will.
I'll tell you what, they're gorgeous. I 100% agree. But they just waste storage space, and they're crazy hard to adjust over time. So I just don't see them. I just don't see them from a practical point of view.
Yeah.
They also happen to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you have them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you have them, it doesn't matter. You're definitely sacrificing form over function here, or function over form.
For sure. Yeah.
You're making a conscious choice to say, no, it looks good and it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to say, though, you know, you walk into a kitchen that's a full overlay versus an inset, you know, it really does stand out a lot more.
They're very different. They're very different looks, for sure. Yeah. All right, moving on. So this is actually a kitchen that we did not too long ago for a client here in Tallahassee. This is very transitional. It's, you know, it's obviously it's a white recessed panel door. These are frameless cabinets, the full overlay doors. You know, nothing crazy special here. You know, it's a slide-in range or a freestanding range, pretty typical hood. But this particular couple really knew their style, really knew what they liked. And when you walked into this house, like everything fits. The kitchen really fit because, you know, she obviously knew she loved this minty green color and tied it in with her drapes and her wall color and all throughout the house. You know, not a giant kitchen, but it feels bright, open. The homeowner just did a fantastic job of knowing who they were and making smart choices. So that's just me bragging on one of our clients a little bit. Another neutral, very neutral, skewing a little modern. Brianna, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I really like this one. I think it's a nice mix of like modern, transitional. You've got like sort of like a fun take on the shaker door style because that one's got like some bevels in it. I like how they added their own style with like the lighting, but you know, someone else could go in there and change it out and make it more their style very easily.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, the hardware kind of plays into making it a little bit more modern. This is also an easy, you know, when you're working with a canvas like this, you know, it's very easy to decorate, I would say, too, for a homeowner. You know, any color is going to go well, whatever they put into the space. So.
Good point. That's a good point. It's also in a home like when you've got giant windows, floor to ceiling, it makes it way easier. I mean, it's just a convenient that you've got a house that was, you know, originally designed with lots of natural light. So it's a big bonus. Actually, if we go back, this kitchen, again, another smart thing they did was this room didn't have so many windows. We added these windows for them, which made a huge difference. It brightened up their whole kitchen.
Yeah, natural light always helps.
Yeah,
and you could add some window treatments there and like change the light and the table, and you could make that traditional.
Yeah, you could. You're right.
Absolutely. You know, add some crown molding or something to the top of the cabinets. Yeah, light fixtures. Yeah. Light fixtures are, I always tell everyone, they're number one. Like, you can totally change the space with light fixtures.
Yeah.
I agree. And fairly inexpensively, too, depending.
Yeah.
Light fixtures.
That's the important thing is, like, go more your style and the things that are easy to change.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I think that's the key message. If you're thinking, you know, we might not be in this house forever. We want to make sure other people can enjoy it without having to, you know, totally renovate it. That's a good way to do it. Not very similar, I think. White recessed, you know, sort of a shaker style door with a little bit of detail. Pretty good layout, all in all. Nice little kitchen. So pretty classic subway tile. This is like a retro subway. It's kind of wavy. Pretty popular down here. Very, very similar. The thing that jumps out to me with this kitchen, you know, I'm a big, you know, a function first, no matter what. I do not like sacrificing function for form. And here, I think they did that. They obviously wanted this giant built-in fridge, which is very attractive, and but they sacrificed counter space right here for that giant fridge. And they made, in my mind, two mistakes. They put in this giant range, so they had to sacrifice some counter space for the giant range, and they put in this giant fridge and sacrificed more counter space for that. For me, that creates a problem in that kitchen that never goes away.
I agree that it almost feels, for this space, feels a little crammed. Even the island to me looks a little bit too close to the cabinets. Like if you're standing at the sink, you'd be bumping into the person, you know, behind you. I probably would have, switched the refrigerator over to where that little desk area is and got more countertop space to the left of that range.
Yeah, I think that would have been a good way to solve that. Take this fridge, move it over here, and put the desk on this end. They would have got all the same features, but would have got a more functional design. Yeah. David is saying dining room light is about 6. I think he's talking about this.
Yeah.
Up there. Yeah, that light's up there. There's no question. That's a very tall, it's a tall ceiling. That's probably a 12-foot ceiling. And so that light probably could get dropped down.
Yeah.
Brandon, what do you think of this one?
I think this is just a little boring. I think that was really in style. You know, it's been in style and it's still here. Like everyone going with gray, all gray, everything in gray is great. I think it's just in like smaller increments. You don't want everything to be gray because then it just looks sort of monochrome and boring. You want to add some interest when you're redoing your space. Yeah. What do you think, Brian?
I agree with that. I mean, it's a lot of gray going on, you know, even with the stainless steel appliances, you know, everything's just a different shade. A nice warm colored floor would have been nice, you know, a different backsplash. I would have even added some glass cabinets into this to add a little bit of depth, because it kind of just looks like a, you know, if they're all solid, it's just like a big L shape there, you know. At least if you add in a little bit of glass upper cabinets, you know, we'll add a little bit of depth to the space.
Right, reflect some light, make it feel a little more open. Yeah, we see this quite a bit when we're working with clients. Try to be too safe, try to keep everything in one tone, one color, and you kind of wind up with kind of a boring kitchen, like Brianna said. But fortunately, in this design, I think pretty easy to fix. You know, different backsplash tile, like you said, some glass doors. This would be a pretty easy one to update.
Yeah, I mean, even if they just got like a colorful rug, I think that would help.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, just a nice rug in there would help a lot, right? Yeah. Just a little bit of personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like condo apartment.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, very much.
It needs some
warmth. Back home, something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of has that feeling. Yeah. I used to call it the Pottery Barn look. When I used to have friends go to Pottery Barn, buy every single piece of furniture for their entire house. And you'd walk in and it was gorgeous, but it looked just like a Pottery Barn catalog, and it didn't feel homey or comfortable at all. It just felt sort of sterile.
I call that the bed in a bag.
Bed in a bag, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a good analogy.
Yeah, it's nice to mix and match, add some personality.
Yeah. All
right, so that's sort of an idea of the base, right? What the idea is, keep the things that are hard to change a little bit neutral. And in one of those styles that's easy to adapt, and then work with some trendy accents to punch it up, express your personality, because these things are easy to change. Fixtures and hardware is a good example. Brianna is a huge fan of the brass.
Yeah,
I am as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also a fan of mixing metals too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very controversial.
Yeah, brass hardware with maybe black lighting.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to mix.
Yeah, that is it's a trend. It is okay to mix and match. I think chrome, brass, black, I think it works.
Yeah.
This is not a fixture, but I do love the little kitty
Yeah, I like that too.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
hardware can change everything very easily.
Yeah, and I personally love brass. And like you said, it's easy if you do it in, a faucet or hardware, things that are easy to change. I know we just wrapped up a kitchen, a while back that we had brass accents everywhere. I kind of put it in between every marble tile. It just kind of made everything pop. But it's very subtle. You don't see it till you are like really close up to it, which is neat.
You got to pay attention. Yeah, that's nice to have. Those little surprises are nice to have in a design. You don't see it first, but then the more you're in a space, you're like, oh, look at that. I didn't notice that. Yeah. David's asking, oh, cat tray. Yeah, he's talking about this. Yeah, I don't know how practical that is, but it's cool. I'll say that for it. I don't know if I would want to pull out a drawer every time I fed. We've done a few things like that for people. Lighting, we already talked about lighting. Probably one of the easiest ways to change the look of a space. Dramatic, oversized pendants like these rattan ones. I'm not sure I would do lamps in my kitchen.
Yeah.
But I guess you could. I mean, obviously, if you want
I think if you have the counter space for it, I think it could be a really nice element.
Yeah?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Really? Okay, not for me, but okay, if you got to say so.
It's our designer minds talking.
Where design becomes personal. No lamps in the kitchen for me. But yeah, very easy. I think these floating shelves also very easy. These are obviously wood, but you could change those out to stainless steel. You could change them out to a painted, and you could change the look of that kitchen too.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a great place to put things that you love and that you want to display, and you can change them out when you want to change the style.
Yeah, I totally agree. Tile, I mean, there's more tile available today than there has ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not crazy expensive, and it's all different shapes and colors. To swap out a backsplash tile down here, if you're looking at 30 square feet in an average kitchen, it's $1,000, which obviously isn't a tiny amount of money, but every 3, 4, 5 years, you want to change the look of your kitchen. To swap out a backsplash tile, probably not a huge deal, and a great way to update.
Yeah, usually if we're going, with a white shaker or black shaker painted cabinet, I try to get my clients to do, some fun kind of tile in their kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of these are have a lot of interest, but they're not super in your face,
yeah, exactly.
Too poppy.
Right. Not like, oh, I wish we had it. We're doing a kitchen now with blue and red tile. It's literally like blue and red, like Marvel colors, which again, this is where personal style just speaks for itself, trumps everything. They absolutely love it. Every time I see it, I think Superman, because it's literally like it's that blue and red. I wish I had a picture of it. We should have put it in here.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's their backsplash tile, and if they decided 2 years to change it, they can, and it's pretty easy. So it's a nice place to have some fun. Last thing we really want to talk about are products, some interesting products that are trending. You may have heard of, may have not heard of. Some things to consider. One most people have probably heard of is lighting. Under cabinet lighting, up lights can totally change look of a space. Brian, what do you like to do with that accent lighting?
Yeah, I would agree with you on a few of those points. Basically every kitchen we do is always going to have task lighting, in the floating shelves or underneath the cabinets, sometimes in the toe kick. I see in the vanity there, you can do something fun like a motion toe kick light. So in the middle of the night, if you're walking into the bathroom, you don't want to turn on all your lights, kind of have that toe kick lighting come on.
Yep.
It's really nice. I see you have like the power strips underneath the cabinets.
Yeah. Okay.
In certain elements, they work really great. I can see them working amazing if you have, full heights splash. If you're doing full quartz or marble up the backsplash, you don't want to have all those cutouts for the outlets. Be a great area.
Yeah, we're big fans of those these angle power strips. Don't have to put penetrations in your tile. we actually love them on islands because it goes right underneath the countertop on an island.
Yeah, there's actually one there, but I think it's just so dark you can't see
Yeah,
it.
it's
Which
black.
is nice because they come in different colors, so they can blend in more.
Yeah, we do these quite a bit. And it's fun because then the homeowner will have guests over, and we actually were looking at pictures of the kitchen once at a design meeting, and the homeowner looked at the kitchen and said, "Oh, I know a man designed that kitchen." And I was like, "Well, why would you say that?" And she said, "Well, look, there's no plugs anywhere. Only a man would do that." And I was like, "Oh, no, no, no. This got angle power strips everywhere." But it was kind of fun. So it's a good way to freak out your guests. But the toe kick lighting, we really love. We do it a lot. Kind of like you said, Brian, it's that night light. So you get up at 2 in the morning and you got to go to the restroom. It's a real low level light that doesn't kill your night vision or wake you up too much, but you can still get in and out. We love it in kitchens, open kitchens, where people can be watching TV and no one has to walk in the kitchen and flip on all the lights. They got that toe kick light to go get a drink.
Yeah, and recently I've been running LED strip lighting underneath the island as well. So, if you just want to turn on your under cabinet lighting and maybe underneath that island, it's going to give off enough light if you have guests over and you just want to walk in and out of the space.
Yes, that's soft. We've started doing it with RGB strips, so you can change the color,
Cool.
which is just fun, and it's not any more expensive. You just get a little remote control with it, so you can change the color. But yeah, tons of stuff you can do with lighting. Doesn't add a lot of expense, but can really change the function. This here is a LED. It's an LED angled power strip combo, so it's 2 things in one. You can see there's just no plugs at all in this backsplash because the plugs are up here in combination with that under cabinet light. Yeah, so yeah, tons of fun with lighting. Countertops, I think we've talked about countertops quite a bit, but quartz, decked in is a new kind of quartz that's becoming more and more popular. I think it will eventually supplant quartz as the dominant countertop. They're just battling a few design problems and a few cost issues right now, but I think long term, that's the surface everyone's going to want. And then I always like to recommend wood. I love wood tops. I got wood tops in my kitchen. And I think they're a great go-to.
Yeah, I like wood tops too. I mean, especially if you just want to do them on an accent piece, more of like an island or towards the end. Or I know a few slides, towards the beginning, there was just that little raised wood top area.
Yep, that was great. Yeah, we love doing them on islands because it's a little warmer when you're putting your arms on them. If you're seated at an island, just a warmer feel.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that, they are going to wear a little bit and show their age as you use them, but it's like a nice element.
Yeah.
Yeah, something to show. I think that's a little philosophical. It's similar, I think, with marble. Like if you want natural marble in your kitchen or you want wood in your kitchen, you've got to be okay with the organic nature of that material. And it's going to age and patina and scratch and stain, but it adds character to your kitchen. You're either the kind of person that enjoys that or you're not. If you're the kind of person that needs things clean and perfect all the time, then those materials might not be for you. That's when a decked in is really great because it's super durable, almost impossible to scratch, heat resistant to 1400 degrees. You get those kind of surfaces too, but I kind of like the organic nature of woods and marbles. Workstation sinks, I mean, we've talked about before, I love these sinks. I think you're going to see them everywhere in the next 5 years. They have these little recessed channels where all these little accessories like cutting boards and colanders and stuff can drop into and slide around. This is a typical sized one, normal size, about 36 inches or 33 inches. This is probably about a 5-foot one by the looks of it. Hence they've got the 2 faucets.
We've got a question, Paul. What workstation sink brands are we familiar with? So one of them is Ruvati. So
the 2 you're seeing here are Ruvati, which we carry here in the showroom. If you can see behind me, our sink, that's a Ruvati workstation sink. It's a 4-foot sink. This one on the left is made by a company called The Galley. They kind of invented the workstation sink, as far as I know. They were the first ones that I ever saw come out with one. It's an extremely high quality, also extremely expensive. It's about $1,000 a foot. So if this is about a $5,000 sink.
They've got a ton of options too, with different ways you can set them up, and
Yeah.
just like
Ruvati's also a nice sink, 16 gauge stainless steel. Not quite the fit, form, and finish of a galley, but still very nice. And a sink like this, a normal size 36-inch workstation, costs around $500. And the big one like we have behind us is around $1,000. Whereas the galley sink of that size would cost you somewhere around $3,500, $4,000. So, you know, but like everything, it's, you know, you're paying a lot for that galley, but what you're really getting is almost like a piece of jewelry. It's very finely finished. They're quite nice.
Yeah, I agree with you on all those points. I mean, I personally love the workstation sinks, especially if you're more of that entertaining home where family's either always at your house or friends are always over. I know that's the case for me. And I would love to have one of these just to, even you can make a mess and just kind of hide it under everything until your party's done and then clean it up later. It's really nice.
I have one in my house. Love it. It's a little bit of a behavior change. You can see on this galley sink, that's the cooktop right there. Now, normally in a design, I would never put the cooktop that close to a sink. There's not enough counter space there. But the whole idea with the workstation sink is all of your prep is being done at the sink. So you don't use your counter space for prep. You use the workstation sink for prep. And so you want your cooktop right next to it, because the idea is it's just one nice tight work area. And then the rest of your kitchen just becomes about storage and small appliances. You know, you don't need the counter space for prep anymore because you've created this workstation. So it's a little bit, behavior-wise, a little bit different, but it makes a ton of sense. And I think you're going to see more and more designers incorporating that into their kitchens. Okay. And then, of course, flooring. If people aren't familiar with wood look vinyl, it's crazy popular down here. Are you seeing a lot of it, Brian?
Yeah, we, I would say 90% of what we do is always going to be, unless they already have natural hardwood floors, then we're kind of lacing into them and carrying them throughout the house. Don't do a lot of tile, I guess, in a kitchen. It mainly is in a bathroom. So. Okay.
Yeah, tile historically was very popular down here for the kitchen. But more and more we're seeing the luxury vinyl plank, and there's a piece of it there. It's thinner, it's very, very durable. It's rigid, they call it rigid plank, rigid vinyl plank. Clicks together just like laminate. 100% waterproof, very scratch resistant. It's a real good product. Yeah. Sorry, Brianna, you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say it's warm, like on the feet, you know, as opposed to tile, which can be cold.
Yeah. My one caveat with the vinyl is if you do damage it, it's difficult to repair. You can repair it, but it's not like wood. You could sand it down. Tile, you can pop out a tile and replace it. But this, it's a little more difficult if you were to severely damage it. It's also very hard to damage, but in the event that you did, that's a little bit of a downside.
Yeah, and even with the LVP flooring, kind of going back to your statements, you know, how, you know, if you do a kitchen and in 5 or 10 years you want to switch it up a little bit, this is a great route to go. I mean, one of my friends, great way to put it, she was going to put hardwoods through her entire house, and then she was like, you know what, we're just going to do LVP because I can change out my floors in 5 years for the same price as the hardwoods. Okay. So she can get 2 different looks, you know, 5 years down the road. And
it's a floating floor, so it's super easy to install. That's a very good point. You can just pull it up and replace it. Yeah.
Nick asked if this is being recorded, and it is, correct?
Yes, we're recording it, and we'll post it to a blog post on our website. We're going to send a copy to Brian, and then we can shoot all you guys a link to that. So if you want to watch it later. Yeah.
There's another question. LVP is considered waterproof. Is this true?
Yeah. So a couple things with LVP. It is 100% waterproof. This particular one's made by Mohawk. It's 100% vinyl. So the underlayment's vinyl, the top's vinyl, it's 100% vinyl. Other companies like Cortec, they use a cork backing. So it's 100% vinyl, but they use a cork back. Cork's a natural product. It's basically a wood bark. So while cork is waterproof, it can rot. So if you were in a situation where that floor was getting wet pretty often, like say at a doorway, a French door, sliding door, where it got wet a lot, that cork can have an issue. So if you're really concerned about waterproofing, or being waterproof, get something that's 100% vinyl and stay away from those corkback products. But there's nothing wrong with the corkback products unless you're in that situation where you're really, really worried about water.
And especially for us, for lower levels, obviously that's the main reason we love to use an LVP product. You know, in case you do have any water issues, you can just click it back to the areas, you know, get at the problem, and you can just relay it right back down. So.
Right, yeah, especially in up north in a basement or something,
Yeah.
where you're going to have dampness issues anyway. Yeah, and then we didn't talk about it, but wood look tile is still very popular. Still a great choice. It's very, very durable, but I think the LVP is really kind of taken over. Accessories, a couple cabinet accessories that I love. These bifold lift-up doors I talked about already. I've got one behind me. I love the remote control where I can open it and close it. What's nice is with these lift-up doors, and there's another lift-up door here. This is called a tilt-up. That's a bifold lift-up. The idea is when you're working in your kitchen, you can open them and leave them open the entire time you're cooking, cleaning, whatever, because the door is up and out of the way. And then when you're done, you put everything away and just close everything. So I really like the workflow of that. And then of course we got in another webinar coming up, we're going to be talking about kitchen organizers, but there's a ton of options available today. You guys, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I always love to incorporate any, you know, accessories we can into a kitchen. Always the staples, you know, cutlery divider, waste pull out, tray divider. Those are always going to be in every single kitchen we do. But, you know, like the pot and pan pull out under the range, you know, those are really great things as well.
Yeah. Yeah. With a lot of organizers, I don't want to go too deep into it because we will talk about it in another webinar. You know, when you organize things, you lose a little bit of space to the organization, but everything is more organized. It's a little bit of a compromise. You know, you can store more stuff if you pack it in, but it's harder to get to because it's not as well laid out and organized. So it's a little bit of a game there. Dennis was just mentioning, so Dennis Gaiman, everybody's a remodeler we're going to be talking to in a couple weeks. He lives up in Pennsylvania. He has a good point. He's saying LVP is a waterproof material, but water can get underneath it. So if you're putting it over a wood subfloor, if that floor is getting wet a lot, water can still get underneath and damage that wood subfloor. So it's not a waterproof barrier like you would put in a shower, right? It's just a waterproof flooring material. So that's a real good point. If you wanted 100% waterproofing, you'd want to put down a waterproof barrier first, like from a Sluter Systems or somebody like that, and then lay your LVP over that. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Dennis. Yeah, and that's it. That's our timeless kitchen presentation, along with a few other things thrown in. We've got a few more minutes. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to pipe in. Brian, while we're waiting for people, I'm curious, how are you guys doing up there with the whole coronavirus, you know, shutdown type stuff going on?
Yeah, we're trying to push through as best we can. I think like everyone else, you know, currently I'm designing from home. I'm in the office today, but I think we've been utilizing Zoom. It's been great to kind of go right. I work on chief architects, so we meet with the clients and we walk them right through the entire space versus here we're kind of going through slide presentations and selections. I think we've had a great feedback. They kind of love almost virtually walking through everything. So
yeah, that's nice. Yeah, we use 2020, but I like chief architect a lot too. We do have a question. How do you guys work with new clients to help them determine a design style that really shows who they are? So I'll let Brian answer, but I'll just say for us, we're going to do, I'm sure Brian would too, we're going to do 2 to 4 design meetings with you, depending on the scope of your project. So it is a process of getting to know each other at each meeting. But we also use a couple of surveys. Right when you first agree to work with us, we're going to send you a use survey. It's sort of how do you use your kitchen? Is it 1 cook or 2 cooks, or do you entertain a lot, or do you have kids, and that kind of stuff. So we're going to figure out how you use your kitchen. And we're going to also send you a style survey that's kind of a hot or not. It's kind of going to like, do you like this, or do you like this? Do you like this, or do you like this? That helps inform a little bit. But then really it boils down to every meeting. getting to know each other a little better and tweaking and updating the design. But Brian, is that similar to how you guys do it, or how do you
Yeah,
guys?
I would say kind of right off the bat, we ask for, just inspiration images. If you ever, I don't say specifically, kind of go through everything and pull this and pull that, but like kind of hone in on things. We utilize House, Pinterest, all those that everyone knows of. I kind of tell them, like, go through and say we're looking at this image right now, this kitchen, I like them to point out what they like in it. Maybe they just like the faucet. We don't, I don't like the cabinets, but I like the faucet, and then, what do you like in this kitchen? Or do you like the backsplash in this one? Just point out key things. It really helps me when I'm designing. And like you said, as you go meeting to meeting, you really get to know your client and kind of right off the bat, kind of know what sense of direction they're trying to go. And you can always look at their home too and see how everything else looks. And that helps a lot.
Yeah, a lot of this experience, and once you see the home and talking to them, it's a good point about the inspiration pictures. We get inspiration pictures from people all the time, and it often is the things that we like about that inspiration picture is not the thing that the homeowner is really keying off of in that same picture.
Yeah.
It's important to circle or mention, like, oh, this is what I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you show a picture and then someone likes the one thing in the picture that you do not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very good question. But it's really more about taking your time. It's definitely a get to know you process, where that's why I think Brian's the same. We like to take our time in design, right? An extra design meeting or two pays off in the long run.
Yeah.
We've got another question from Tom Lizio.
Okay.
How would you suggest modifying this presentation for clients that are completely changing the space, adding on or reconfiguring the space, removing walls? Too complicated for a webinar?
Yeah, no, I think you could do it. It's just a different, the world's your oyster kind of once you're doing what we call a custom, remodel, you're changing layouts and things. I'm not sure I would present it that way because there's so many possibilities. But I'm sure you could. Brian, would you guys do a live presentation where you talk about this kind of stuff with your clients?
We do monthly seminars where we talk about everything from kitchens, bathrooms, additions, what it takes in each project.
I think that's almost like a better situation, just because then you can really focus on your style and the space you want to create throughout your whole home. And go from there, instead of like just trying to make your kitchen something you really want when maybe you can't afford to do the rest of the house right now.
Right. Yeah, certainly if I had my choice, budget aside, I would much rather do a full custom remodel or I like change anything versus a pull and replace where you're kind of stuck with a similar layout, but need to update things as much as you can. But yeah, I'm sure you could do something like that. So you see, you guys are in Wisconsin. So you're about an hour behind us, right, Brian?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I gotta say, I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on today.
This was a lot of fun. I hope the people, listening really enjoyed it. If you got any questions afterwards, feel free to shoot us an email. We're gonna email everyone. You've got Brian's contact information. You've got ours. We're happy to help in any way we can.
Yeah.
And thanks to Brianna. Brianna's actually just in the office behind me, but we're social distancing in the show.
Yeah, we're like 30 feet away.
Yeah.
Way more than 6.
Yeah. So we'll send you guys a link with the recording in case you want to watch, and we just appreciate it. Brian, you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. You as well.
All right, Brianna.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.